Hello, everybody. Welcome to the County Seat today. I'm your host, Chad Booth. With the onslaught, I would call it, of forest fires this year and the severity of the fires, we decided we should spend a day talking about forest fire management. So we have assembled a panel, and we're going to jump into the topic right off the bat. Joining us today for our conversation is the Extension Agent for the USU Forestry Extension Agent, Darren McAvoy. We have with us Doug Heaton, Commissioner from Kane County, a county that's ordered up a couple of good burners this year. And we also have the Forest Supervisor from the Wasatch Cache National Forest, David Whittakin, and you're new on the job.
That's right. I've been here for 2 months.
Wow. Talk about I don't mean to coin the old phrase baptism by fire, but I guess that's kind of how your new supervisor.
Yep. So far we've been pretty lucky, though.
Actually, that's a good question. When we were starting before we taped, you said that the Forest Service is able to catch about 98% of the fires before they get big.
That's right.
So what we're hearing about is just the few that got away.
That's right. Those are the ones that escape containment, and they usually get pretty big pretty fast.
Why do you think that there are more of these fires coming up this year?
Well, to start with, we've had a very dry spring, and that's dried out a lot of the fuels, and so that gives the fires the chance to really go fairly big fairly quickly once they do escape containment. And we do have a lot of fuels that have built up in a lot of different areas, both from last year's wet winter and then from fuel buildup over about a century of fire suppression.
So basically, because we've been fighting fires and nipping them in the bud, that's created a much bigger fuel load than normal?
In a lot of areas. Every time we put a fire out, that's fuel that doesn't get burned, and that fuel continues to build up over years, over a century, basically.
So one would logically think, though, that if you're having a buildup of fuels and it's putting more fuel load in the forest, well, the traditional uses of the forest, in past years, they used to do quite a bit more logging than they do now, and logging is starting to move further and further away as far as I can observe. Wouldn't harvesting actually be something that we should be looking at returning to as far as rekindling a forest or a logging industry in the state?
I absolutely agree with that. I think that the use of logging can reduce fuels in the right way, and I like to have basically what I'd call all the tools in the tool belt. Using logging, using grazing where appropriate, using prescribed fire, using thinning, all those kinds of things help reduce fuel loads and give us the opportunity to manage that fuel to the best we can.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of our challenges, with logging, there's reasons why we have less logging these days. We could talk about those. And people want us to take smaller and smaller trees with less and less value, and that becomes real difficult. How do we pay for that wood to come out of the woods? And one of the answers to that could be biomass utilization. Using the small trash wood, or slash we call it, for energy production, for special petroleum type products, for adhesives, plastics. Just a week ago I held a piece of plastic in my hand made on the campus of Utah State University from pinyon juniper wood, from the woods that we have 10 million acres of.
See, I always go to the grocery store and they say, paper or plastic, and I say, okay, well, save the tree, kill the dinosaur, give me plastic. But you're saying that they actually are the same.
Well, they could be. We can make plastics like that out of wood.
Let me ask a question, though, because I have heard that when trees get old, they don't become part of the carbon dioxide absorption. I guess they become brittle or they become saturated. So they sit there as a lot of carbon dioxide laden fuel, but they're not actually doing the exchange. Wouldn't we be better off with younger forests in general?
Oh, I think we need a greater diversity of forests. We need many old forests. As mentioned, we had a lot of logging, so a lot of our older forests were kind of cut back, so we have a lack of that in some cases. But I think what the most important thing is to have a great diversity of forest, of big trees and small trees, old trees, young trees, large diameter, small diameter, and all the different diversities, all the different species. I think the stability of our future forest is based on that diversity.
So I guess continue the conversation from there. how do you make a commercial side of that, or does commercial play a part?
Commercial should play a part, and commercial has to play a part, because right now we're spending, the BLM average is about $300 per acre to treat pinyon juniper lands in Utah, mostly for fire hazard reduction. And again, we have 10 million acres of just this forest type. There's about, I think 30 million acres of forest type in Utah altogether. So it's going to be a combination of different approaches. It can be logging when there is commercial sized timber, but when there's smaller timber or the PJ, what we call cedars, then we're going to have to use alternative means and other methods. I'm working with a group called the Utah Biomass Resources Group, and right now we're making electricity out of wood. We're building a dragon wagon we're going to bring to county fairs and things like that, just as a demonstration unit to show that people that this can be done. It's a way to pay for that small diameter, low value wood come out of the woods.
We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back with the county seat in just a minute.
So what brings you to St. George?
Business meeting.
Staying long?
Just here for the day, quick in and out. On second thought. Holy.
We'd like to invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy your 45-minute flight to Salt Lake.
I should have booked a weekend.
Almost 45% of the oil produced in Utah, 7.8 million barrels, comes from Duchesne County. That oil feeds our state economy, provides job growth, and supports local business. Here in Duchesne County, we're working to make Utah an economic, cultural, and technological leader. Whether you're here for business or pleasure, Duchesne County will welcome you with open arms and invite you to explore all the beauty of the Uinta Mountains. Duchesne County, close enough for business, far enough to get away.
Cedar City, Utah is home of the Tony Award-winning Utah Shakespeare Festival. But did you know that we also offer a different kind of play?
Discover the of scenic southern Utah.